Dear business owner, entrepreneur, executive, I was talking to a fellow business owner, and I asked him what he really wanted from his business, how he really wanted to operate. And he said, honestly, I'd like to have better outcomes with my people. I like to have a better life. He said that I'm not present. I'm just always grinding, and I'm not really spending enough time with my family. And even when I'm with them, I'm not fully with them because I'm not, I'm just not present enough. And so he wanted that. And I said, wow, would you like to be able to have better outcomes and a better life with half the stress? And he said, yes. And I said, well, two things have to happen in order for that to take place. One, you're going to really have to eliminate the need to force your people, because we talked about it, and he talked about the struggles that he's having with his team and how he's having to force them to do certain things. He feels like they're less loyal, and less demanding. Um, I'm sorry, they're less loyal, in what they're doing, um, and they just don't have any loyalty to him, right? And as he shares with them, what's needed, they're more demanding in what they want to be able to even do their job. And in that process, we just had a lot of conversation and saw ways where he was really kind of forcing his people to actually get things done. And because he was forcing them to do that, there was a ton of friction there between him and his people. And I have to tell you, that's the keys right there. Those two steps. You have to really eliminate the need to force them. Why are you having to force them? Why aren't they moving to do their job, to handle the tasks that they were hired for? So what I'm really asking you is this: to ask, to find out, what is, what are the concerns when something's requested, right? You know, are you receiving everything that's needed? What's in your way? Because what I found is whatever is in the leader's way and whatever the concern the leader has, usually the team has the converse concern. And if we start asking questions, that will really, when you move to get understanding, now they feel seen, heard, understood at some level, even if you don't implement the things that they're talking about, but you just getting the details of that to figure out how you can make things better. You're not going to have to force your people as much. They're going to want to do it and want to lean in to look to make it work and to figure out how to work as you lean in to try to figure out how to make their job work and things easier, and hear what they have to say, see what they see, understand it from their perspective. And so, honestly, we talked about that a couple months ago, and he started implementing some of that, and it changed. He could not believe how it was a lot less effort, and he didn't have to force his people at all. They engaged in the opportunity. And when it comes to frictionless, I want to share that years ago, I used to build motors, and one of the motors that we built were race motors, and race motors have to have a very little friction. The parts have to be able to move, spin, and move very, very easily. And so part of that is being able to change the fluids regularly. And so in a race car, you're changing those fluids every time you go to race for the most part. Why am I telling you all of this? Well, back then, this is back in the late 80s, early 90s. Back then, the manufacturers, automotive manufacturers, they weren't really in the fluid exchanges. They were big in the maintenance, doing the maintenance on vehicles. But when it came to exchanging transmission fluids, taking it all out and putting new fluid in at certain intervals, they weren't there. And I was really, I saw that really made a difference in racing and what I did. And so I started sharing that with my clients. My clients weren't interested in that because they're like, the manufacturer doesn't even recommend that we do that. Why is that even necessary? And when I showed my clients how the acidity was actually causing concern in their transmission, power steering fluid, uh, engine, when I showed them how this acidity was really affecting them, and we could really get a lot more life out of their vehicle, their component, engine, transmission, power steering fluid, whatever that system was, and it'll reduce the cost. They couldn't believe it. And I don't want to give you a PhD in gobbledygook, right? But basically, what I showed them was I showed them how transmission fluid has detergent in it, and when the detergent is not cleaning as well, then the transmission builds up, and it has a lot more buildup on a lot of the components, which can cause problems over time. And if you actually exchange that fluid, you keep the detergent in there and it's strong, and the transmission can work well for a long time. Again, I can get really technical. Don't want to get going into the gobbledygook. The bottom line is it reduces tons of friction, which reduces heat, right? Which reduces the level of force. And transmissions, what we found that transmissions last, or all the components in the vehicle, all the major components in the vehicle, they last 3 or 4 times longer than the manufacturer's recommendation. And I tested that over years and years and years. Uh, Excuse me, I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm sneezing today. Bottom line is this: I started a 300,000 mile club, a 400,000 mile club, even a 500,000 1,000 mile club in my shop, and had people join that club. That became the marketing arm of my company as far as that type of maintenance services. Had many clients that did that. I had a van that had 600,000 miles, a Nissan Quest that had 600,000 miles on it by doing this maintenance. Why am I telling you this? Because the manufacturer at that time wasn't in the fluid exchanges. Much like, many times I'll go to share with the leader, and in the onset, they're like, that can't work. That's not possible. Well, not only did it work for my clients, but I got tons of business. That was the bulk of how I got business from there, because it caught on. Even though the manufacturer didn't buy in to this little small shop, right? And guy and his team, it caught on. Now all manufacturers do that at some level. My point is this: if you can find ways to make your company frictionless, and then enroll your team in that process and engage them in what it takes to actually maintain that, and equip them with what they need to really get things done, they're going to feel like they're seen, heard, and understood. And I assure you, it is going to take a lot less effort to manage them then. And honestly, they'll be at a place where they'll want to get things done even without you being there. Wouldn't that be amazing? So he's moving in that process now, and he's experiencing that. His company, he says, is far less friction, uh, and his company really has, it's almost no force. People want to do things, and they're getting it done. Hopefully, that was crystal clear for you. Business owner, executive, entrepreneur, leader, even a parent, all right. There's an opportunity for us to enroll, engage, and equip the people that are in our care so they can get more done, to make it frictionless with less force. I'm Guy Cooper. Have a good day. I'll see you tomorrow.